The stars looked different from space. Taiho Kim knew this better than anyone on the ship. He pressed his hand against the cold glass of the observation deck and stared out at the bright dots in the darkness. Each one spoke to him in ways he could never explain to others. "Talking to your friends again," a voice called from behind him. Taiho turned to see Captain Jisoo Park standing in the doorway. Her uniform was crisp and perfect, just like her record. "The stars make more sense than people sometimes," Taiho said with a small smile. "That's why you're our stellar engineer and not our diplomat," Jisoo said. She walked over and stood beside him. "We're getting close to the Kepler system. You should get some rest before we arrive." Taiho nodded, but didn't move. His eyes went back to the stars. The research vessel Pathfinder hummed around them. It was the pride of Earth's space fleet in the year 2187. 100 crew members lived inside its metal walls, traveling between stars to learn their secrets. Taiho had been on board for 3 years. In that time, he had spoken maybe 100 words to his fellow crew members. It wasn't that he didn't like them. He just found the stars more interesting. "The meeting is in 10 minutes, Jisoo said before leaving. "Don't be late this time." Taiho sighed and gathered his datapad. The screen showed the reason for their current mission. The star Kepler 438 was dying too fast. Much too fast. Stars lived for billions of years. This one was fading in just a few months. 3 planets circled this dying star. 3 worlds full of life. If the star died, so would they. In the meeting room, the rest of the command team waited. Navigation Officer Hyun Kim tapped his fingers on the table. Science Director Do-Yun Lee studied a 3D model of the Kepler system floating above the table. "Nice of you to join us, Taiho," Hyun said with a smirk. Taiho sat down without answering. He had known Hyun since training. The navigation officer always had something to say, usually something that wasn't needed. "What do we know about the star?" Jisoo asked, taking her seat at the head of the table. Do-Yun waved her hand through the 3D model, making it zoom in on the star. Kepler 438 is, or was, a stable red dwarf star. It should live for trillions of years, but now it's losing mass and energy at an impossible rate. "Any explanation?" Jisoo asked. "None that makes sense," Do-Yun admitted. "That's why we're here." Taiho stared at the model. Something about the star's glow pattern caught his eye. He tapped on his datapad, pulling up the star's energy readings. "It's almost like it's being eaten from the inside," he said quietly. The room fell silent. It was rare for Taiho to speak without being spoken to first. "Eaten," Han laughed. "Stars don't get eaten. 3 worlds depend on that star," Jisoo reminded them. The Rio, the Suwon, and the Han. All 3 species sent the distress call together. They've never worked together before, so they must be truly desperate. "We'll arrive in 6 hours, Hyun said. "Then we can get a closer look." The meeting ended, and the crew returned to their stations. Taiho went back to the observation deck. As the Pathfinder moved closer to the Kepler system, he could now see the dying star with his naked eyes. It glowed red, but the edges flickered in an odd way. For just a moment, Taiho thought he heard something, like a whisper from very far away. A call for help. "I'm coming," he whispered back, not knowing why he said it. The star flickered again, as if in response, and for the first time in his life, Taiho felt like someone truly heard him. The Pathfinder entered the Kepler 438 system with caution. The dying star cast a weak, flickering red light that made shadows dance across the ship's walls. Taiho hadn't left the observation deck in 12 hours. His eyes were red from staring at the star. His hands moved quickly over his datapad, recording everything he saw. "You need to sleep," Do-Yun said as she entered the deck with 2 cups of hot tea. Taiho took the tea without looking away from the star. "It's in pain," he said. Do-Yun frowned. "Stars don't feel pain, Taiho. They're just big balls of gas." This one is different. His voice was firm. He pointed to his screen. Look at these energy patterns. They don't match any known stellar behavior. Do Yun looked at his data and her eyes widened. That's strange, but it could be a new kind of stellar decay we haven't seen before. Or something else, Taiho said quietly. The ship's comm system buzzed. All senior staff to the bridge, Captain Jisu's voice announced. We're receiving a transmission from the planets. On the bridge, a large screen showed 3 very different beings side by side. On the left was a tall figure made of shining crystal, a Rio elder. In the middle floated a swirling cloud of colored gases with bright spots that pulsed like eyes, a Suwon council member. On the right, a blue-skinned being with gills and large black eyes sat in a tank of water. A Han leader. Thank you for coming. The Rio elder spoke, its voice like chimes in the wind. Our star fades quickly. We have perhaps 2 months before life becomes impossible on our worlds. Can you tell us when and how this started? Jisoo asked. The Suwon's gas form swirled faster. The star began to sicken 3 months ago. First, small dark spots appeared. Then the spots grew. Now the star's light weakens each day. We have tried everything. The Han added, its voice bubbling through water. Nothing works. Have your scientists found any cause? Du Yun asked. The 3 beings looked at each other. Then the Rio spoke. Our star is being attacked. Something feeds on its heart. Hyun laughed and turned off his mic. They think the star is alive. Taiho stepped forward. What makes you think it's being attacked? We can hear its cries, the Han said simply. The bridge crew exchanged looks of doubt. These aliens clearly had primitive beliefs about their star. The mother star speaks to those who listen, the Rio continued. She has protected our worlds for millions of years. Now she calls for help, but we cannot reach her. Jae-soo thanked the aliens politely and ended the call. Du Yun, I want full scans of that star. Hyun, plot a safe orbit that gives us the best view. Taiho. She paused, seeing the intense look on his face. Are you all right? Taiho nodded, but his mind was racing. The aliens believed the star was alive and in pain. It matched what he had felt since they entered the system. A constant pull, like someone calling his name from very far away. Later that night, when most of the crew slept, Taiho sat alone with the ship's main sensor array. He adjusted it to record all energy waves coming from the star, even those outside normal human perception. The screen filled with patterns, beautiful, complex, and clearly not random. They pulsed like a heartbeat, but growing weaker. You are alive, Taiho whispered in awe. As if in response, a new pattern appeared on the screen. It formed shapes that reminded Taiho of written language. The star was trying to communicate. Taiho's hands trembled as he saved the data. He needed to understand what the star was saying. He needed to help it, because somehow he knew that if this star died, many more would follow. And humanity's own sun might be next. I need to visit the Rio planet, Taiho told Captain Jisoo the next morning. His eyes had dark circles under them, but they burned with a strange light. Jisoo studied him with concern. Why? They know something about the star that we don't. I need to see their records. Jisoo sighed. The Rio are crystal beings who worship their star. I doubt they have scientific records that could help us. Please, Taiho said. It was the first time Jisoo had ever heard him beg for anything. She agreed, but only if Du Yun went with him. 2 hours later, they landed on the crystal world of the Rio in a small shuttle. The Rio city sparkled like a mountain of diamonds. The buildings were tall spires that caught the dying star's light and split it into rainbows. The Rio themselves glowed with inner light as they moved through the streets. An elder Rio named Gan met them at the landing pad. You wish to learn of the mother star, Gan said. It wasn't a question. Yes, Taiho replied. I think she's trying to speak to us. Gan's crystal body flashed with blue light, Few outsiders hear the mother's voice. Come. Gan led them to a tall tower made of purple crystal. Inside was a vast room filled with crystal tablets that glowed with soft light. Our archives, Gan explained. 10,000 years of the Mother Star songs. Du Yun looked skeptical. Songs. The Mother Star sings to all worlds. Most do not listen. Gan touched a crystal tablet, and it projected images into the air. Long ago, we learned to hear her music and speak back to her. The images showed patterns of light, the same patterns Taeho had seen on his screen the night before. This is a language, Taeho said with growing excitement. Yes, the language of stars. Gan pointed to another tablet. And this shows how we once spoke back to her, using light and energy pulses. Du Yun was about to dismiss it all as primitive religion when Taeho stepped forward. Can I study these? Of course. The mother called you here. Du Yun raised an eyebrow, but said nothing. She wandered around the archive, while Taeho spent hours studying the crystal tablets with Gan. When they returned to the ship that evening, Taeho went straight to his lab without speaking to anyone. He connected his data pad to the ship's communication array and began programming it based on what he had learned from the Rio archives. At midnight, when most of the crew was asleep, he aimed the array at the dying star and sent a series of energy pulses, a simple greeting in the star language. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then the ship's sensors lit up as a wave of energy came back, a response. Taeho's hands shook as he translated the pattern using the Rio key. The message was simple but clear. Help. Pain. Dying. He sent another message. What hurts you? The reply came faster this time. Darkness inside. Eating. Cannot fight. Taeho was so focused on the exchange that he didn't hear the lab door open. He jumped when Captain Jisoo spoke from behind him. What are you doing? I'm talking to the star, Taeho said, his eyes wide with wonder. It's alive, Jisoo. Really alive. And something is killing it from the inside. Jisoo looked at the patterns on the screen, then at Taeho's exhausted face. You need sleep. You're not thinking clearly. No. Look. He tried to show her the translation, but Jisoo had already called for medical. I'm sorry, Taeho, but I can't let you endanger the mission because of lack of sleep. As the medical team took him away, Taeho called back. The star is dying. We have to help it. It's trying to tell us something important. The last thing he saw before the sedative took effect was a new message appearing on the screen. Find me in your dreams. We are connected. Taeho woke in the medical bay the next morning. His head felt cloudy from the sedative, but his mind was full of strange images, vast networks of light stretching across the galaxy, stars pulsing in harmony like a giant heartbeat. How do you feel? Asked the ship's doctor. I need to speak with Captain Jisoo, Taeho said, sitting up quickly. She restricted your lab access for 48 hours. You need rest. Taeho didn't argue. He knew they wouldn't believe him yet, but the star had spoken to him in his dreams, showing him things he couldn't explain. Back in his quarters, Taeho looked around at his sparse room. He needed to continue communicating with the star, but how? His eyes fell on his personal data pad and the small signal booster he had built for private research. Over the next 6 hours, while the crew thought he was resting, Taeho modified his equipment. He removed parts from his room's lighting system and climate control. By evening, he had built a small communication device hidden behind his bed. When the night cycle began and the corridors emptied, Taeho activated his device. It was much weaker than the ship's main array, but it might be enough. He sent a simple message, I am here. The response came almost instantly, as if the star had been waiting. You hear me clearly. You are different. Taeho typed, why can I hear you when others cannot? You carry the old pattern, the one in a billion humans who can sense our kind. Taeho's hands trembled. What are you? The star's reply filled his small screen. We are the first consciousness. Stars lived and fought before planets formed. Before life began. We watch. We protect. We remember. What is killing you? Darkness between stars. Ancient parasites. They feed on our cores. We cannot fight them alone. Taiho frowned. Why have we never detected these parasites? They exist partly outside your reality. You see only the damage they cause, not them. They have killed many stars already. Soon they will reach your sun. A chill ran down Taiho's spine. How do we stop them? There is a way, but it requires sacrifice. The parasites fear the bond between star consciousness and certain rare minds like yours. Together, we can create an energy they cannot survive. How? Before the star could answer, Taiho's door slid open. Du Yun stood there, staring at his makeshift device. I knew you wouldn't stop, she said, but instead of calling security, she came in and closed the door. Show me. Taiho hesitated, then showed her the conversation on his screen. Du Yun read it carefully. This is either the greatest discovery in human history, or you're having a breakdown. Run tests on me, Taiho said. Check my brain patterns against the star's energy pulses. You'll see they match. Du Yun thought for a moment. If I help you prove this is real, will you follow proper scientific protocol after that? No more secret communications. Taiho nodded. I just need someone to believe me. The next day, Du Yun secretly ran tests in the medical lab while the captain was meeting with the alien representatives. She scanned Taiho's brain while he received messages from the star. Her face grew pale as she watched the results. Your brain waves and the star's energy patterns are syncing perfectly. It's like you're having a conversation on a level I can't even understand. Do you believe me now? Du Yun nodded slowly. There's something else. I found a genetic marker in your cells that I've never seen before. It seems to respond to specific stellar radiation. Taiho wasn't surprised. The star told me I'm 1 in a billion, born with the ability to hear them. So what does the star want from you? Taiho looked out the window at the weakening red star. It needs my help to fight the parasites. But I think the cost will be high. What cost? My life. We need to tell the captain, Du Yun said as they left the medical lab. This is too big to keep secret. Taiho nodded. He knew she was right, but fear gripped his heart. Would Jisoo believe them, or would she think they had both lost their minds? They found Captain Jisoo in the meeting room with Hyun. Star maps floated in the air above the table, showing the spread of dying stars across the galaxy. It's not just this system, Jisoo was saying. Reports are coming in from 12 other sectors. Stars are dying too fast, and no one knows why. Captain, Du Yun said from the doorway, we need to talk. For the next hour, Taiho and Du Yun explained everything. The star's consciousness, the parasites feeding on stellar cores, and Taiho's rare ability to communicate with the stars. That's why the pattern of dying stars seems random, Taiho said, pointing to the map. The parasites jump from star to star, looking for the strongest ones to feed on. Jisoo's face remained neutral, but her eyes showed doubt. Even if I believe all this, what can we do? We can't fight something we can't even detect. The star has a plan, Taiho said quietly, but it requires someone with my genetic marker to channel a specific energy pattern. The pattern acts like poison to the parasites. How exactly would this work? Hyun asked. For once, his voice lacked its usual mockery. Taiho took a deep breath. I would need to enter the star's corona in a specially designed pod. Once there, I would connect to the star's consciousness and channel the energy through my nervous system. The room fell silent. Then Jisoo spoke the words no one wanted to say. The heat would kill you, even in a protected pod. Yes, Taiho admitted. The connection requires direct exposure to the star's energy. No human body could survive it. Absolutely not. Jisoo slammed her hand on the table. I will not sacrifice a crew member on the word of an alien star. It's not just about saving this star, Du Yun argued. If Taeho is right, these parasites will eventually reach our sun. This could save billions of lives. Or it could be a trap, Hyun countered. How do we know this star isn't lying? Taeho stood up. Let me show you something. He led them to the observation deck and pointed to the star. Look closely at the surface. Do you see the dark spots? They all looked. Dark patches moved across the star's surface like oil on water. Those are the parasites, Taeho explained. They're becoming visible as they consume more of the star's mass. I've been studying those spots, Du Yun added. They don't behave like any known stellar phenomenon. They move against the star's rotation, almost like they have a will of their own. Jisoo stared at the dark spots, her resolve wavering. Even if you're right, I can't authorize a suicide mission. Then don't, Taeho said simply. Make it my choice. I've never felt like I belonged anywhere. Not on Earth, not even here among the crew. But when I talk to the stars, I feel at home for the first time. You're asking me to let you die, Jisoo said, her voice breaking slightly. I'm asking you to let me save 3 worlds, and maybe many more, including Earth. Jisoo turned away, but not before Taeho saw tears in her eyes. I need time to think. As she and Hyun left, Du Yun stayed behind with Taeho. Are you sure about this? Really sure. Taeho looked out at the dying star. Last night, the star showed me other worlds where parasites have already won. The stars went dark, and all life on the surrounding planets died slowly in the cold. I can't let that happen to Earth. Even if it costs your life. Some things are worth dying for, Taeho said. And maybe, in a way, I won't truly die. The star says our consciousness might merge. Du Yun put her hand on his shoulder. Then let's build you a pod. The next morning, Captain Jisoo called an emergency meeting with all senior staff and the representatives from the 3 alien worlds. The ship's largest conference room was filled with humans, crystal Rio, swirling Suwon, and water tanks holding the aquatic Han. We have discovered the cause of your star's illness, Jisoo began, and we may have found a solution, but it comes at a great cost. She nodded to Taeho, who stood up. All eyes turned to him. Normally, this would make him nervous, but today he felt strangely calm. Your star is being eaten by parasites that exist partly in our reality and partly outside it, he explained. They feed on stellar cores, and they've already killed stars in other systems. The Rio Elder, Gan, flashed with bright light. We knew the mother star was in pain. We could feel it. How can we save her? Asked the Han leader, bubbles rising from its speech glands. Taeho took a deep breath. The star has shown me a way. I can channel a special energy that will kill the parasites, but to do it, I must enter the star's corona in a special pod. And survive? The Suwon representative asked, its gas form swirling faster. The room fell silent at the unspoken answer. No, Taeho said simply. The process will be fatal for me. But it will save your star and your worlds. Chaos erupted in the room. The alien representatives all spoke at once. The human crew members argued loudly. We can't ask him to sacrifice himself, Hyun shouted. There must be another way, a junior engineer said. What if we try to evacuate the planets instead? Suggested the security chief. The Suwon representative spun in distress. My people cannot leave our world. We are bound to our atmosphere. Evacuation means extinction for us. The Han can survive in water tanks for a time, the Han leader said, but not forever, and not our entire population of billions. The Rio would crack and die in the cold of space. Gan added, our crystal bodies need the mother's light. Captain Jisoo raised her hands for silence. This is why I've called you all here. We face an impossible choice, one life against billions. Du Yun stood up. I've confirmed Taeho's genetic marker is unique. He can communicate with the star in ways no one else can. If there's a chance his plan could work, don't we have to try? Not if it means certain death, Jisoo countered. As captain, I cannot order a crew member to die. Tai-ho had been quiet during the arguments. Now he spoke, his voice soft but clear. You don't have to order me, Captain. This is my choice. He walked to the center of the room and looked at each person and alien in turn. All my life, I felt different, disconnected from other humans. But when I speak to the stars, I feel whole. If my death can save billions of lives and stop these parasites from spreading further, then it has meaning. What if it doesn't work? Hyun asked. What if you die for nothing? The star has shown me exactly what to do, Tai-ho replied. I believe it will work. And if we refuse to help you? Jisoo asked. Tai-ho looked at her steadily. Then I'll find another way. But with your help, the chances of success are much higher. The room fell silent again. Then Gan, the Rio elder, moved forward, its crystal body glowing with blue light. In our history, we have stories of those who joined with the Mother Star. They became part of her light, living forever in her glow. If you do this, human Tai-ho, you will never be forgotten. Your light will shine on our worlds until the end of time. The Suwon and Han leaders added their own solemn promises to remember his sacrifice. Captain Jisoo looked at Tai-ho's calm, determined face, then at the dying star visible through the window. Finally, she nodded. We'll help you. May whatever gods exist have mercy on us all. For the next 3 days, the ship buzzed with activity. Engineers worked around the clock to modify a probe into a vessel that could take Tai-ho deep into the star's corona. Do-Yun led the science team in creating special equipment to help Tai-ho channel the energy needed to kill the parasites. The Rio provided crystal technology that could withstand the star's heat longer than any human material. Tai-ho spent hours in his quarters, communicating with the star and learning exactly what he needed to do. The star's messages grew clearer each day, as if their minds were already beginning to merge. On the evening of the 3rd day, Captain Jisoo found Tai-ho sitting alone in the observation deck. The pod will be ready tomorrow, she said, sitting beside him. Are you sure about this? Tai-ho nodded, more sure than I've ever been about anything. Jisoo looked out at the dying star. The dark patches now covered nearly 1/3 of its surface. I've been reading your personnel file. You never had many friends on Earth. You turned down promotions that would have given you command positions. Why? I never felt like I belonged, Tai-ho said simply. Other people always seemed distant to me, like we were speaking different languages. And the stars. A small smile touched Tai-ho's lips. They've been whispering to me since I was a child. I just didn't understand what I was hearing until now. Jisoo pulled a small data chip from her pocket. I found this in the ship's archives. It's a record of others with your genetic marker throughout history. They were rare, maybe one person born every few generations. All of them were drawn to the stars. Many became astronomers or pilots. Some claimed to hear voices from the sky. Tai-ho took the chip. Thank you for this. It helps to know I'm not the first. You're the first to understand what it means, though, Jisoo said. The others lived before we had the technology to confirm what they were experiencing. They sat in comfortable silence for a while. Then Jisoo asked, Are you afraid? Of dying? A little, Tai-ho admitted, but the star has shown me what might happen after. Our consciousnesses could merge. Part of me might live on in the star network that spans the galaxy. I hope that's true, Jisoo said softly. Later that night, the crew gathered in the mess hall. Someone had brought out the special drinks saved for celebrations. Tonight, they would celebrate Tai-ho's life. To everyone's surprise, Tai-ho joined in the conversation, telling stories about his childhood and the first time he felt a star calling to him. He laughed at Hyun's jokes and listened to others' stories. For the first time, he felt truly connected to his fellow humans. Why now? Do-Yun asked him quietly. Why are you so open tonight when you've been so closed off for years? Because I finally understand, Taiho replied. I was always looking up at the stars, waiting for something. Now I know what it was. I was waiting for this moment, this purpose. As the gathering wound down, Taiho returned to his quarters to find a message waiting from the star. When you join with me tomorrow, your consciousness will help me spread warning to other stars. The parasites will be driven back. Your sacrifice will save countless worlds. Taiho sent back, I'm ready. He spent his final hours recording messages for his few family members back on Earth and writing detailed notes about everything he had learned about stars and their consciousness. Future generations would need this knowledge. As the ship's night cycle began, Taiho lay on his bed and looked out his small window at the dying star. See you tomorrow, he whispered. We will shine together. Morning came too quickly. Taiho stood in the launch bay, dressed in a thin suit made partly of Rio crystal. The material glowed softly against his skin. Nearby waited the pod, small, round, and covered with sensors and communication equipment. The entire crew had gathered to see him off. Captain Jisoo stepped forward. You don't have to do this, she said quietly. Taiho smiled. Yes, I do. Hyun approached next, his usual smirk replaced by a solemn expression. The pod's navigation is set. It will take you straight to the safest entry point in the corona. Thank you, Hyun. Do-Hyun was the last to say goodbye. She handed him a small device. This will help you focus the energy pattern. The star told me how to make it. Taiho looked surprised. The star spoke to you. Not like it speaks to you, Do-Hyun explained. But it sent simple patterns I could understand. I think it knows how important this is to me, to all of us. Taiho took the device and hugged Do-Hyun. Then he climbed into the pod. The door sealed with a soft hiss. Captain Jisoo's voice came through the comm system. Launching in 3, 2, 1. The pod shot out of the bay and into space. Through the small window, Taiho watched as the Pathfinder grew smaller behind him. Ahead, the dying star pulsed with weak red light. The dark patches of parasites covered almost half its surface now. I'm coming, Taiho whispered. The pod accelerated toward the star. Heat shields activated automatically as the temperature rose. Inside, Taiho could feel the star's presence growing stronger in his mind, like a song getting louder. I can hear you, he said. The star's response filled his mind. We are almost one. When you enter my corona, open yourself completely. Do not resist the heat or the light. Embrace it. Only then can we channel the energy to destroy the darkness. Will it hurt? Taiho asked. Only for a moment. Then you will become light. The pod's computer announced. Corona approach in 1 minute. Temperature rising beyond sustainable levels. Taiho activated the device Do-Hyun had given him. It hummed softly, ready to focus his consciousness when the time came. 30 seconds to corona. He thought of Earth, of the sun that gave it life. He thought of all the stars he had studied, now knowing they were conscious beings watching over countless worlds. 15 seconds. Taiho took a deep breath. I'm ready. 10 seconds. The heat was incredible now. The pod's shields were failing. Sweat poured down Taiho's face, but he felt strangely peaceful. 5 seconds. He closed his eyes. Corona entry now. The pod plunged into the star's outer layer. Alarms blared as systems failed. Metal began to melt. The Rio crystal in Taiho's suit glowed blindingly bright, keeping him alive just long enough. Taiho activated the device and opened his mind completely to the star. Their consciousnesses touched, then merged. In that moment, Taiho saw everything. The vast network of stars spanning the galaxy, all connected, all aware. He felt the parasites too, cold and hungry in the warm light. Together with the star, he focused the energy pattern through his nervous system. His body became a conduit for power beyond human understanding. Pain flashed through him, bright and hot. Then, as his physical form began to break apart, something wonderful happened. Taiho's consciousness expanded. He was no longer confined to a single body. He was light and energy, spreading through the star. "Thank you," the star's voice said, now indistinguishable from his own. From the Pathfinder *, the crew watched in awe as a pulse of brilliant white light erupted from the star. It expanded outward in a perfect sphere, washing over the ship in a wave of warmth. Du Yun gasped. The dark spots, they're disappearing. The star began to glow brighter, its natural color returning. The parasites were dying, burned away by the energy Taiho and the star had created together. "He did it," Captain Jisoo whispered. "He actually did it." And somewhere within the blazing light of the healed star, Taiho's consciousness still existed, transformed but not gone. His last human thought, before becoming something greater, was simple: "I'm finally home."